Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. My name is Ray Niles, and I'm the designer behind Red Barn Samplers. You've stumbled in to the 5th episode from Red Barn Samplers. I have a couple things I want to share with you today. We'll be talking a little bit about some antique samplers, some samplers that were modified both in the present day and in the past. We'll take a look at some of the Whitney antique books that I have in my collection, and maybe a little conversation around how you might be able to add those to your collection. And then we'll close kind of with a tech tip and talking a little bit around some of the charts that I have out. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the conversation. So the first thing I want to talk about is a big thank you again to the people that are out there supporting the work that I'm doing, and I'm going to specifically call them out, and then I'll also tag them as well. But a big thank you to Lady Robin S. Very supportive, reached out and said, keep doing it. Really enjoyed the videos and being able to share with her. As well as Sherry in Sampler Years. She actually sent a picture of W. Wallace. The Mountain Craft Studio on Flosstube. The Prairie Stitcher and Things, and we were able to meet in person. It was so fun. We met down at Heart's Desire and just had a great conversation. She lives about 50 miles from me. Thank you to the Attic for your continued support and just being a big champion of the work that's being done from Red Barn Samplers. Also, I want to call out the SABLE Stitchers. I don't know if anyone is watching the SABLE Stitchers or I just happened to stumble on them, but I met them when I was at the Silver Needle this summer and fell in love with their floss tube. They're funny. They're refreshing to watch. So if you haven't taken a look at them, I'd encourage you to do so. At first, I thought sable meant the color of someone's hair, right? Like a sable color. It actually means stash accumulated beyond life expectancy. And I know that I suffer from that, and I think that there's probably others that do as well. Also, again, Rosella Hanson has a finish of M. Holloway, and a lovely finish. I really like her colors and how she chose to stitch her design. And then just a big thank you to the remote stitchers who continue to be champions and continue to support the work that I'm doing. So thank you to those that are out there saying yes and encouraging me to keep doing what I'm doing. I also want to thank the folks that have reached out and said, hey, did you know you got a glitch in one of your samplers? And it got me thinking, I probably needed to let everyone know how much I've learned in this process. So if you recall, my first sampler that I put out was M. Holloway. And it's a pretty straightforward chart. It has the picture on the front. It has the fibers on the back. It gives you the size on the back. And the other thing it does is it allows you to take a look at it without even opening it up if you're shopping in a store where they've put it in a plastic bag. I also was lucky enough to actually just be able to put the chart on one page, so there was no carryover onto another page. So this chart came out great. No issues, right? Then the next chart I did was W. Wallace, and I love W. Wallace. I love her for various reasons. 1, it's red, white, and blue. 2, I loved stitching with the gum nut. And 3, I love that Jean from the Attic was so supportive and so encouraging of me as I put this out. And so I really wanted this to be just perfect. And I thought I was doing myself as well as other stitchers a big favor by making things larger so that they could be seen. So picture on the front, colors on the back, size, etc. on the back. And then when I laid it out, I actually took and laid it out so that there is a single chart on the front so that you can just see how it's all laid out. Super easy to see the full layout here. And then I did, quadrants. Again, pretty easy layout. And when I got to the bottom half of the chart, I thought I needed to make it the size or the width of the page. And in doing so, what that does is for the people that cut charts apart and tape them, it distorted how it laid out. I had no idea that there were people that were actually physically cutting apart charts. That was something that I just had never considered. And so it was brought to my attention and I fixed it. And if you happen to have been somebody who purchased a hard copy and you want a corrected copy to cut apart, please email me and I will fix that for you. I also had a couple folks reach out and say, did you realize that your color name is wrong on the DMC? And so again, if you are wanting to get that corrected, go to the redbarnsamplers.com and you'll be able to see where the correction is on the color for that if you're stitching with DMC. Again, thank you for that, for pointing it out. Like I said, I've learned a lot in this process, one of which is don't stretch the chart to make it fit the page. Just use that as what's left. So that's what I did moving forward. Martha Smith is one of those that's similar to W. Wallace. There's a little piece on her that doesn't fit quite right if you cut her apart. So if you're one of those that got that and you need it so you can cut it apart because it drives you nuts, email me and I'll fix it. And then Betty Sumner, I think I got this one right. Betty Sumner, I laid out so that it was, you could cut it apart and it's right there. However, in my overzealous desire to do it correctly, I left off Polly Kalich's name, who was the model stitcher. So I have yet to produce the perfect chart, but I'm getting there, and I have 4 more that will be coming out very shortly, and hopefully those are much more perfect than the ones that I've done the first 4. I don't think it detracts from the quality or the beauty of the samplers, and I definitely don't think it detracts from the story of each of those girls. But in full public disclosure, I need to let you know that I'm learning as I go, and that's okay. And I appreciate those that are out there championing and saying, keep doing it. So thank you for that. Wanted to focus a little bit this morning or this afternoon or this evening on just this idea of personalized samplers. And I thought I would draw from my own work first. And I'm going to give you 2 examples. So this first one is an example that was from Beth Twist from Heartstring Samplery. And I took a class several summers ago with Silver Needle out of Tulsa. And if you've not been to Silver Needle's retreats, they do a bang up job, just a great job with their retreats. Very positive, lots of laughter, just super fun. And Beth Twist was the person that was doing the retreat. And she had what I think should have been like a needle roll or a needle case. And it was one big piece. And I chose to do it as 2 separate pieces because first off, I loved the verse, "Be still my heart," and I love that Quaker-ish Quaker-ish look. And then I liked "Be still my needle," and the play on words I just thought was perfect. So I chose to stitch this as 2 separate pieces. I have noticed she does have it available. It is available on her website. It is called "Be Still My Heart." Be Still My Heart. And it is available, and if you want to stitch it as a needle roll or as a needle case, feel free. But I chose to personalize it by actually taking it apart and being able to just have it be 2 separate pieces that I hang in my home. Love the colors on this, love the layout, just fantastic job. I also have another one that I was part of the Country Sampler. It is from the Spring Green Country Sampler Schoolgirl Club or Girls Club. And what I did on this one to kind of personalize it is, this is called the Red and Green Carnation, and it's by Samplers Remembered. And what I loved about this was, first off, it was a very relaxing stitch. The colors were very pleasing, but I chose, because I was stitching this in the fallish winter time, I chose to personalize it. And so mine says, "It's a Wonderful Life." And I've had a couple people reach out and say, "Did you chart that?" And I said, no, I literally just started stitching and hoped that it fit. So again, I liked this, and I liked being able to personalize it. And I know many of you personalize your charts as well, or your finishes. And I think that that's kind of the fun part of the craft, right? Being able to finish things and make it so that it's yours. So then that got me thinking, well, what did little girls used to do when they were also personalizing their samplers? So I went downstairs and I grabbed one of my samplers, and I had shown the one last time that was all queen stitch. Believe me, I got quite a few comments on that and a couple private messages, people encouraging me to take it off, take the back off and see what's under there. And then a couple people saying, "I can't wait till you get it charted so that they could stitch it." So I don't know if that's in the immediate to-do, but it is definitely in the to-do. So I went down to that same area in my studio, and I pulled out this sampler. And what I think is so funny about this sampler is that in my mind, I can imagine that Mama or the teacher said, "I want you to stitch some type of family registry." And so it says on here, "During the time of life allotted me, grant me, good God, my health and liberty. I beg no more, if more thou are pleased, to give all thankfully the overplus receive." And it's stitched by Sarah Sophie Railton. Her work, aged 8 in 1796. And what I like about this is Mama probably said, or the teacher, I want a registry of the family. And so she started out pretty good, and she has her dad's name, George Railton. But then as she got to other members of the family, she just wrote the word ditto. Again, I'll try and get that so you can see it. She wrote ditto. So John ditto, Mary Elizabeth ditto, Sarah Sophie ditto, Joseph ditto, Edward ditto. And I thought that was so funny because in her own way, she tried to personalize that so that she probably could get done faster. And also it made it more unique to her. The other thing I love about this is the intricacy and the fineness of the stitching. For a small little girl who I can only imagine, you know, if you think about the little kids even today that have a hard time just holding scissors, the fact that she was able to hold a needle and to do such beautiful stitching is just amazing to me. And I acquired this with the back still on it. So just like my queen stitch, I have not taken the back off of this one to see what it's like on the back. It looks to me like a mid-1970s mauve frame or early 80s. But I definitely can't wait to get to it because it's got some lovely, lovely detail and lots of beautiful satin stitch. I do believe this is stitched in silk as well. So as I got to thinking about not only how little girls personalize their samplers and how we personalize our work, that then got my brain thinking about Whitney Antiques. And if you have not gone to the Whitney Antiques website, it's Whitney, W-I-T-N-E-Y, antiques.com, I would encourage you to do so. They have an exhibit right now that I wish I lived in England because I would be going to that exhibit. But what the exhibit has is just some beautiful, beautiful handwork, some beautiful needlework, and the stories that kind of go along with it. Well, I've been collecting Whitney Antique books for a very long time, and I thought it might be good to pull some of those and share them with you in case you don't have them in your reference library or in case you're looking to add to your library as well. So these are smaller ones. This is Whitney Antique Samplers and Historic Embroideries. Again, it's just a small little one. And there's a companion piece to it called Sampleries and Historic Embroideries with a different image on the front. And then I have Samplers, House and Garden. And I have another one called An A to Z of British 18th and 19th Century Samplers. And again, sometimes I just like looking through these. Sometimes I look through them because I may have a similar sampler and maybe it tells me information that might be helpful as I'm trying to unravel clues on the sampler I've acquired. This one is Samplers, All Creatures Great and Small. Again, just a great reference, lots of beautiful pictures, and all of these have colored photos in them. So the eye candy is unbelievable. Another one called Samplers and a Schoolroom Exercise. And again, lots of beautiful colored images on here. Even on the back has beautiful images. And then also just the explanations that go with that. And then moving into some of their bigger ones, this one is called Samplers, Town and Country, an exhibition by Whitney Antiques. So this is actually an exhibition, like a reference catalog, and you can kind of see they're just beautiful. And like I said, I just like going through them occasionally just to get ideas or to just think through things. This is one of my favorites. It's called Diligence, Industry, and Virtue. What I like about this one is it has some beautiful samplers that are specific to like Ackworth samplers, some specific samplers from Mueller, from Bristol samplers, beautiful band samplers as well. Another one here is called British Samplers and Historic Embroideries from 1590 to 1880. It's upstairs, downstairs, plain and fancy. As you can imagine, there's work done by the maids as well as work done by the owners, and just some lovely images as well. Stitched in Adversity, Samplers of the Poor. I guess I'm kind of drawn to those maybe even more than I am the really fancy ones, to think that they stitched with what they had. There's a lot in here on the orphan asylums, also schools of industry, talks a lot about different places similar to Bristol, orphanages where children were taught a life skill so that they could go out and were able to be hired. So again, just a great reference book. Samplers Mapped and Charted. I have a couple huge maps that are from the 1800s and late 1700s that I will be sharing in future videos. I have one that's about 3 feet by 3 feet square, and it has gold couched thread on it, and it's a map of England as well as Ireland, Scotland, and Wales. And so there's a lot in here that are maps and globes even. I have some that look like this. They're beautiful, and this is a great reference for that. And then I have another one. This is just called Historical Embroideries, and it's not really a book. My guess is when I acquired this, I think somebody must have gone to an exhibit, and this was maybe the handout from the exhibit. I'm not really sure, but it's too good to throw away, and it was a great reference. And then this one is called Schools, Scholars, and Seminaries. And again, just a lovely piece of reference fabric or reference material. Lots of cool, beautiful needlework in here. Here's those maps again. So I got to thinking, I have a little over 2,700 subscribers, I think. And I actually have 2 specific extra Whitney sampler catalogs or reference books. So if you are interested in being considered when we hit that magic number, and I'm going to say when we hit 4,000, let's say when we hit 4,000 subscribers, I will go ahead and draw and send these. And if you live anywhere in the world, I'll mail them to you. I don't care. It's not restricted to just the US. Of course, you have to be over 18 and all that good stuff. But if you are interested in being considered when we hit that magic number, and it may not be this video, it could be a couple videos out, but when we hit 4,000, if you just type in the word Whitney, and there's no H in Whitney, it's W-I-T-N-E-Y, Whitney, you'll be entered in the drawing for this, as well as entered in the drawing for a copy of this as well. Again, beautiful, beautiful reference books, and maybe it's time for you to start your own collection. If you go to Whitney Antiques, they also have an exhibit book available for their latest exhibit. It's called The Needle's Praise, and I've already ordered my copy. It's not here yet, and I know several of the needlework shops are carrying that as well. I believe the Attic has it, as well as Hobby House Needleworks. So if you are looking to acquire or start reference books for your own collection, I would encourage you to snag those while they're available. They're beautiful references and great resources as well. So shifting gears a little bit, a couple people had reached out about the Kuyana case that I had, very similar to what you've probably seen even with Nicola Parkman off of Hands Across the Sea. It's great to travel with. I can put everything in it that I need. And it also got me thinking, well, maybe there's something else that would be just as easy to use. And so I acquired a smaller one. I got it off of a secondary market. It was used, and it was very reasonable. I'm not sure what I'm going to use for it yet. It's considerably smaller than the other one. But nevertheless, I thought I could put some things in here and make it work. So, you know, don't be afraid to look at that secondary market. If you are interested in trying to find yourself a little case, definitely worth having. I have to tell you what I found off of Facebook Marketplace earlier last week. In fact, I had been looking for something to store my samplers in, and had been looking under things like map cabinet, file cabinet, things like that. Well, my daughter, what she found was this credenza looking thing that actually has drawers in it. And the drawers are from a man who actually was a house builder. And he and his wife had been building homes for 46 years, and they were wanting to retire. And so this is what he stored his blueprints in for the different types of houses that he made. Each of the drawers had a little clear pocket right here. You can kind of see the clear pocket down here. And then I made labels so that I could kind of keep myself organized. Let me make this a little bit bigger here so you can kind of see I've started out in progress. Those are things I'm working on and charting. And the cool part is that these drawers all pull out. And so I can keep my samplers in them, lay them flat on top of acid-free paper, which I just love. And then I also have a way to store them by year too. So this is just for those that are on have no frame, and then the ones I have framed I have on the wall as well, and I'll be showing those in a different video. So again, I'm super happy with my find. The price was right, and I just love the generosity of the man who was deciding to get rid of it and never dreamt that his blueprint cabinet would house all these lovely samplers that I've been able to acquire. One last thing I wanted to share with you was kind of a tech tip. And this tech tip comes from how to use your phone to be able to identify plants. Now, we're coming into winter season where I live, but I'm always asking myself, if I go somewhere, I wonder what that plant is, or I wonder what kind of bush that is, or I wonder what kind of tree that is. And I'm reminded that my phone has a guide on it that lets me know what type of plant I might be looking at. So what you'll do is, in the middle of your phone, you're going to open up your camera, and you can kind of see there's my camera, and you're going to take a picture of a plant. And I am just going to grab these tulips here. We're going to grab these tulips, and I'm going to take a photo of the tulips. And as soon as I take a photo of the tulips, down here in this corner is the image. So I'm going to tap on that image, and when I do, it opens it up in photos. And what I like about having it in photos is that I don't have to go out of an app and into the app. I just tap on it and it takes me there. Also, down here on the bottom is the letter I, and the letter I has like a star out of it. It's in the middle. It's right beside the word edit, and in between the heart and the edit. I tap on the I, and when I do, I get a sub menu. And the sub menu says, dun da da da, look up plant. So I look up the plant, and it tells me it is a tulip. And I tap on the tulip, and I can read information about that plant. Okay, so great conversation this afternoon or this evening or this morning, whenever you're watching this. A big thank you for that continued support that you're all showering me with. And I'm really looking forward to the next episode, because I have a sampler that was stitched by a little girl where she actually speaks about Christmas in her sampler. And I've never seen one that's stitched like this. So I'll be sharing that on the next episode in about 3 weeks. And then also we'll be sharing with you my newest releases that will be coming out right after the first of the year, maybe toward the end of December, especially if you're looking for that December, January 1st start, some of those nice small ones that we can do to bless our year. So again, thank you for joining. I really appreciate the continued support. I hope you've had a great day and a great weekend coming up, and may your floss never twist. Bye-bye.